today's work, we're going to continue with the shroud or the cover. These pieces have been glued. There, can't see the joint. Filled out with wood filler and started the sanding process. Going to finish that today, get it nice and smooth. Yeah, these are looking pretty good. Slight imperfection there, but it's covered with the filler, so that's good. The second part of the shroud were these ammo containers, the bottom part. These were printed at 100% infill. The print wasn't great. Thought I could rescue them. I probably can, but because they printed at 100% infill and they need to be glued to the rest of the body, these are too heavy. And that's the only glue seam there. So even if I do get it to glue to the other parts of the body, like this, it's not going to be stable and it's not flat. The print aren't great. I got giddy when I did the print and took them off the build plate too soon, so they're uneven, the dimensions are off, and the 100% infill way too heavy. So reprinted at 15% infill, much better, nice and smooth. Iron the top down so there's not as much finishing. The angle is a little off, so that today I'm just going to fill that in, get that smoothed down, give it a good sanding. But yeah, much happier with these pieces, and when they get glued to here, there'll be less weight, so it will attach better. So that's what it's going to look like. The front part starting to look like a real thing. So let's talk paint jobs. In the original Aliens film, the M41a Pulse Rifle was painted in brown bess, which is an old British Army colour, which you can't find. It's not in production, no one can find it. On all the replica prop forums, replica forums, there's loads of different methods of how to mix the paint for airbrushes and air guns and everything. I was never happy with that. It's probably a little bit too talented for my level at the moment, so I thought I'd go for my own unique paint job. So I chose this colour. It's nice and cheap. It's good paint, matte finish, allegedly, and the colour on the cap is a greeny brown. Looks perfect. I didn't read this bit here, so I thought I'd do some test sprays off camera on some of the minor accent pieces, and it came up with this colour. Very different, very different, very dark. I was upset. Initially I thought, yeah, that's not going to work. Looks very green, very dark. Still a military green though. So I thought I'll be able to salvage it. And I was looking at these pieces and I thought, do you know, that dark colour might actually work? Because the final paint job will be distressed and weathered. So I thought this dark green will actually work as a really good contrast to the silver parts. So these parts are meant to be like sheet aluminium, painted, and obviously when they weather down, the aluminium comes back up. So I thought I'd do some test weathering, and it's actually turned out really well. The silver, this is just silver accents with a silver paint pen, and they've actually come up really good. They actually look like real parts. This is just like first weathering pass type, so you can see that was the original colour, and they actually look like painted aluminium parts. All of them have come out really well on first pass weathering. The screw holes I've painted, so most of this will be covered up by the screws in the final assembly, but the silver accents I think will fly through. So I'm actually happy, and I'm gonna go with this colour paint job. Might upset a few people, but you know what? With my build, and I think it looks really well. It probably won't upset many people, because not many people will watch this. But yeah, there we go. So that's first weathering pass on these. When everything's assembled, I'll knock back some of the silver colours, do some washes in black, rust, dirt colours, just to give it a very weathered look, and then re-accent some of the silver parts. But this looks really good. It reminds me of the weathering I did on this puppy. So I loved doing this weathering job, and I've just copied a lot of that. So this looks like a real thing. So I'm gonna replicate that aesthetic over to the M41a. The biggest pitfall I might have is over weathering some of these things, so that when it's assembled, I'm going to take a look at the whole thing and do a weathering strategy. But what could have been a big boo-boo and having to start the paint job from scratch, it's actually turned out alright. Also, I went into these pieces with files, sanding paper, so some of the imperfections from the filling and sanding process are showing through, but I'm going to lean into them. When I did so initially I did it with the filler primer, and I was going to sand these out and make it nice and smooth, but I think these will actually look really good. Do some dry brushing on there to pop make it look like, so this is the bottom of the ammo cartridge, so it's gonna have to look like it's been slammed in and out of the gun a few times. Overall, happy with this. Hello and welcome to the Talentless Maker. This is part 2 of my M41a Pulse Rifle build, and today we're going to be doing the test fit of the grenade launcher. The original prop gun of the film was based on two real guns. It's the Thompson machine gun, the old Tommy gun, that's the top bit, and the grenade launcher was based on a Spas 12 shotgun, I believe. Might have got that a little bit mixed up, but that's what it is. So these cages and the pulp are all from the shotgun. So these are my prints. This is the whole thing. This has been designed so no glue is really needed, so these bits will be glued together, but the rest all slide and hold together quite well. So I'm going to do the test fit. This print here I dropped on a carpeted floor and this happened. It just snapped. Doing a little bit more investigating, it looks like on the print there's a wall there, so it's created a weak point. So let's throw that away and reprint it and throw it around. Why not? This is the reprint. Looking at it, there is a seam there which might create a weak point. So what I'm going to do, just grind out a channel on either side, fill it with super glue and some bicarbonate of soda. That will create a nice strong joint there. We'll do that later. So yes, so all the parts. So let's do a test fit. Hello, Talentless Maker here with a quick update on the progress of the grenade launcher for the M41a Pulse Rifle. So yesterday, cleaned up all the parts, made them nice and smooth. Lovely layer of primer, filler primer, to make them look... Why do parts always look so much better once they've been primed? It just looks so good. See? Orange, grey. When they were primed, did a test fit, make sure everything fit, made sure that the holes in the slide and the grip matched up when they're in the body of this, and they do, and I was very happy. So I did a test fit, make sure everything was together. I was just taking it apart, ready to do the final paint. This piece, which is the back end of this, the shroud of that, had some difficulties coming off and ended up with this. Yeah, kind of self-destructed. It's kind of cool colour in there. Yeah, so give them in parts. Tried to glue some bits together, but it just wasn't having it. Just wouldn't go back the way it was before. So printed a new one. So this was done in some leftover Amazon Basics PLA, I think, a few months ago. Just using up some old filament stock that I had, because this is basically it's just cosmetic at the back of it. It's this bit at the front that kind of holds things together a bit more. So yeah, so obviously that PLA wasn't up to snuff, so get rid of that. And then this, just gonna prep this, prime it. These two pieces and these, it's going to be painted in gunmetal with the back, using these covered in black. That's inside, so you don't see much of that, but this part and the front here are going to be weathered, and this, there's a slide that goes inside there with this hole here, like this. So this is going to be painted silver against the black. It's going to look great. Do some little bit of weathering, distressing on the front here, make it look like a real part. That's today's task. Just make sure that these two pieces do fit together. I will say props to the guy who designed this. I will put the link in the description below. But it's awesome. Everything fits together so well. I was really worried that these bits wouldn't match up inside, but I did do a test fit with a couple of M3 hex screws, and they do work. ready for the weathering. All the parts are being given a lovely coat of paint. So what we're going to do is weather these parts down, do the assemble, and everything's going to look great. Now, I've had a DM, yes, just the one, this channel is growing, asking about weathering techniques and what I use. I'm nowhere near an expert. The Talentless in the Talentless Maker title should give you a hint on that, but I do have some talent in that area. An example of that is my previous build. Keep showing this every time, it's just really good. So all the techniques I used in weathering this are going to be used in this. So first thing I'm going to do is blacken the silver on this and then knock that black off so it looks though it's weathered. That's the first thing. Similar with this, I'm going to knock the gunmetal. I love this gunmetal paint. It's Rust-Oleum gunmetal. In case you need to go out and buy some. It gives a lovely finish on its own. That finish is amazing, but it's not going to work for this particular project. So I'm going to knock this back so it's not quite as shiny, but still that lovely grey colour. Black it. Take the black off using various techniques. The techniques, the gold scrubbing pad, that's really good, weathers really well. And then on top of that, use some isopropyl alcohol. I believe this is 99.98% pure, but there you go. And then just use that with a Q-tip to take off that, and it should give a lovely little weathering effect. And then go in with some dry brushing of silver. I like to use this Valero. It's lovely. It's made for airbrushing, but it's really good for dry brushing and wall paint, plate metal. It's different grades of silver you can see in the bottle. This is slightly duller, this is very shiny, so I'll go with that. Just do basic parts, and this for the highlights. It works out really well, makes that part pop. So these parts here, all the edges are going to pop. Similar technique on these guards. I did rush the rattle cam job and it's come up with some stuff here. I had a bit of a nightmare with them last night because I was rushing to paint it so I can get this completed. Some effects doesn't really matter because it's going to be weathered down, but I was a bit angry on that. So similar to this, but I'm not going to black it, just knock the shine down with the pad, go in with some dry brushing, maybe some black wash, again a Valero game wash. This is tenacious stuff, which is very good for a wash. I need to put some paper underneath that because that gets everywhere. On the handle, not much weathering going to be doing on that, it's just going to be rough back. That black looks really good, so it's going to be rough back to pick out some of the highlights. See how that looks on the final weathering pass when the whole gun is complete. Might do some more on that, wait and see. Most of this is hidden, there's not much on that. I'm going to do some weathering around here and in there and around the muzzle. So just to let you have a look how this looks, or will look. So that really pops. So this is going to be weathered back a little bit, but not too much. It's still going to look very silver, especially against that black. And one of these edges are weathered when it gets pulled. It should work really well. And then the highlight is going to be this. This is going to be weathered to an inch of its life. So all these parts are going to be highlight, and it's going to look really good, especially around the muzzle there, and do some good weathering. So that's today's job. Get this finished, completed, use some of my various things to get the weathering done, assemble it. That'll be the video, hopefully, and then we can move on to the main body, get this puppy finished by the end of the day. Cue the timeless time lapse. Hello, Talentless Maker here with part 3 of my M41a Pulse Rifle build from the film Aliens. So this is the final construction video. I'm going to do one more with the final assembly and the final weathering. That's the exciting one. Grommet. And today we are going to be doing the body, grip and mechanics inside, because this is going to be a working trigger, hopefully. So today what I'm going to do is clean up these prints. Not a lot of cleaning to do. Most of the print defects here will be hidden by the shroud and the body. That's fine. And these parts will need gluing up, so the gluing surfaces will need to be cleaned up so they flush on there and there. It's going to be doing that. Once they're glued, I'm going to use some plastic putty to fill in the gaps and get them glued together and ready for priming. The grip, it's done on this old plastic, the one that failed before, but it's fine and it looks good. Just need cleaning on the bottom in these bits, get that primed. Back end, yeah, don't know what you call this part of a gun. I'm not American, so I don't know the parts of guns. Bit that goes on the shoulder. That's a good print. This is a reprint. Last one failed. So this is going to get cleaned up. That's going to get primed, ready for painting, and all the various mechanical bits. Printed off some extras. So it's trigger, all the various mechanical bits that are going to go inside of here to produce a realistic. It's the wrong way around, Ken. So these parts are going to go in here, and it's going to create trigger action. We all like a bit of trigger action. That's today's job. Cleaning up, gluing up, getting it ready for priming.